Here's your wrestling news for April 13th, 2023, and we're kicking off with AEW, and since All Out last September, CM Punk has been public enemy number one, with the former world champion now the only person still suspended from the promotion. Recently, Dax Harwood spoke about Punk on his podcast, saying that he misses wrestling and wants to come back, and we've now had confirmation that this is the case. Sean Ross Sapp of Fightful Select reports that not only is Punk eager to return to AEW, but he's laid out numerous situations that would facilitate his return. The report reads, Punk has laid out numerous scenarios in which he'd return. Among those includes a willingness to work with Kenny Omega and the Young Bucks. However, we've heard that at least as of a few months ago, Omega and the Bucks didn't seem keen on doing that for obvious reasons. We're not sure if that's changed as AEW has progressed on landing new deals with them. Punk has also expressed his willingness to return to work for All Elite Wrestling and keep completely separate from the Elite along the way. There are some talent that were of the belief that the rumored upcoming Saturday AEW show would be used to help facilitate that with some separation to the AEW roster, but that's not something higher-ups in AEW have confirmed to us. The report adds that Punk has been open to working elsewhere, but it's unclear if he meant ROH or if he means somewhere like WWE or New Japan Pro Wrestling. But the fact that he's talking about wrestling implies his torn triceps is healed or very close to being healed. On Instagram this week, Punk trolled those eager to see what he has to say as he shared a photoshopped image of Rocky with the Chicago-made wrestler's face. Punk also shared a photo from a bingo hall with a welcome sign on the wall made with balloons, which some have taken as a sign of Punk wanting to be welcomed back to AEW. While Punk is hoping to wrestle for AEW again, that won't come easy, with reports stating that the vast majority of the roster don't want him back, especially after his recent social media drama. In that post, Punk claimed that AEW pressured him to work when not medically cleared, called Chris Jericho a liar and a stooge, and said that Jon Moxley refused to lose to him during their feud last year. Fightful's report this week made it clear that the Elite aren't keen on working with Punk, and if you've seen AEW's All Access show, you'll know that there's a lot of tension surrounding what happened. On the show, Matt Jackson described the Elite suspension as the worst 6 weeks of his life, and there was a time when the Young Bucks considered retiring from wrestling due to the suspension. On the other hand, many feel that Punk is the answer to turn around AEW's ratings, which have dropped over the past year, especially with him not around, and Tony Khan will have to make a difficult decision. But what do you think? Do you want to see CM Punk brought back, or is he too toxic for his own good? Share your views in the comments. During this week's Raw, Cody Rhodes challenged Brock Lesnar to a match at Backlash, and while it hasn't been made official yet, the match is expected to headline the show. The American Nightmare vs. The Beast is certainly a huge match worthy of any card, which is why many are wondering why this isn't happening at one of WWE's Big Four shows or a Saudi event. Instead, the match will happen on what is effectively a B-tier premium live event, but WWE has a very special reason for this choice. PW Insider Elite has revealed that Backlash 2023 will also serve as a promotional event for Puerto Rico, with the plan being for the show to encourage fans and tourists to the area. The report adds that more marquee matches are expected for the card, and one bout that has been rumored would see Rey Mysterio and Bad Bunny face Dominic Mysterio and Damian Priest. WWE has been paid by Puerto Rico as part of this deal, and this isn't any different to WWE's deal with the UK that brought Clash at the Castle to Cardiff and will bring Money in the Bank to London. While Roman Reigns won't be competing at Backlash, the show is going to be a stacked event. And how would you book the finish of this match between the Beast and the American Nightmare? Fans won't have to wait long to see Brock again, as the former Universal Champion will be on next week's Raw, 1 week removed from Cody's challenge. It is widely expected that Lesnar will accept Cody's challenge for the match at Backlash, but that's not all the Beast will get up to at the show. According to sources, there are plans for Cody to take another beating from Lesnar on the show, which, like the last time, will go on for a prolonged period of time. What made Lesnar's attack on Rhodes so surprising is that this heel turn came out of nowhere, and that the assault went on for far longer than fans had first expected. The storyline from there will be a test of how much adversity Cody can overcome, with the idea being that Rhodes would be second-guessing himself, especially after his loss at WrestleMania. Fans may have noticed that WWE is following a similar story to John Cena in 2012, who suffered one of the biggest losses in his career when he lost at WrestleMania 28 to The Rock. On the Raw after Mania, John was attacked by, you guessed it, Brock Lesnar, and fans can expect Lesnar to win at Backlash, only for Cody to conclude the feud with a win at SummerSlam. After that, Cody can enter feuds with the likes of Gunther, LA Knight, and could even win the 2024 Men's Royal Rumble, earning himself another shot at Roman Reigns. It would then be at WrestleMania 40 that Rhodes would finally finish the story and become champion, and if WWE is imitating the 2012 Cena storyline, it's worth mentioning that John did become world champion at the following WrestleMania. It'll be interesting to see how close Triple H follows the John Cena storyline when it comes to Cody Rhodes, but before all that, Cody has Lesnar to deal with. Cody will no doubt give a gutsy performance next month against Lesnar, but after last week's attack and an attack planned for next week, don't expect the American Nightmare to walk into San Juan at 100%. Last December, it was reported that WWE was planning for Brock Lesnar to face Gunther at WrestleMania, but that match obviously didn't happen. Earlier this week, reports came out stating that Gunther vs. Lesnar is being planned for SummerSlam, but fans eager to see this match should prepare to be disappointed again. When Ringside News asked sources in WWE, they were told that the writing team does not know what the SummerSlam plans are for Brock, but it isn't the Imperium leader. These sources stopped short of naming what the plan is for Lesnar at WrestleMania, but the match will no doubt get a ton of build. As for Gunther, his Intercontinental Championship reign will become the longest ever if he reaches September 7th, but what is planned for the Austrian at SummerSlam remains to be seen. Are you disappointed that Lesnar vs. Gunther is off the table again? And who do you want to see the two men face at the biggest party of the summer? More from AEW as this week's Dynamite saw the return of Sting, who was part of the MJF Darby Allin segment after not being seen in weeks. The segment started with MJF taunting Allin and calling Sting Allin's father, and the face-painted young wrestler instead said that Sting was his best friend in AEW. All this talk about the Stinger brought out the man himself, who said that Showtime is almost over for him, but it's just beginning for Darby, who Sting is confident will become a world champion. Speaking about being a mentor to Allin, Sting said that he supports Darby like Ric Flair supported him, and also name-dropped Cody Rhodes as MJF's cheerleader, which got a reaction from the champ. The Icon also name-dropped others he's worked with, including Kevin Nash and the late Scott Hall, and the segment ended with MJF spitting in Darby's face before leaving the ring. On social media, fans took an interest in Sting's comment about how his Showtime is almost over, and some have seen this as a sign that AEW is planning a title versus career match between Sting and MJF. Sting's appearance on the show was a welcome surprise, and with a Four Pillars 4-way expected for Double or Nothing, we may be seeing more of Sting by Darby Allin's side. It was in June of last year that Jeff Hardy, mere months after his controversial WWE exit and AEW debut, was arrested for driving under the influence, his third DUI in a decade. Hardy was immediately suspended without pay from AEW and opted to enter rehab, but his hiatus from the promotion has officially come to an end. During Dynamite, Ethan Page was livid that Matt Hardy and Private Party will no longer be in the firm if they win an upcoming match, and it wasn't long until a brawl, which included Big Bill and Lee Moriarty, ensued. Hook ran down next and cleared all of the heels except for Big Bill, who was too big for Hook, and that's when Jeff's music hit and he ran out with a chair. The crowd popped big time to see Jeff Hardy, and that did the trick to run off the heels as Hardy delivered a swanton bomb on Lee Moriarty and reunited with his brother Matt in the ring. On social media, the reaction to Jeff's return was mixed. As while some were happy to see him back, many said they hope that this is Hardy's last run in wrestling. Some believe that AEW made a huge mistake by bringing Jeff back, and believe it's merely a matter of time before he has another arrest, which will only make the company look bad. The DUI case against Jeff was closed in February, and Tony Khan clearly felt it was right to bring him back. And are you pleased to see the charismatic Enigma back in AEW programming? It was last July that Vince McMahon's time on pro wrestling's throne came to an end after allegations of misconduct with multiple female employees. The Wall Street Journal revealed that McMahon had paid $12 million total in hush money over the span of 16 years, and afterwards, an additional $5 million of unrecorded expenses were linked to McMahon as well. Speaking to DJ Vlad this week, Jake Roberts spoke about the controversial chairman and said that McMahon paying women to keep quiet is hardly a recent thing. Vince McMahon paying hush money, it's not the first time. If Roberts had heard about these things happening before, oh god yeah. When asked about how many incidents he's heard about, 3. On whether Vince McMahon was having affairs with his co-workers and paying them off afterwards, yeah, this is the time that it got outside the bubble. McMahon's time away from WWE did not last long, as he used his influence as majority shareholder to force his way back, a power he won't have when the WWE Endeavor deal is finished. The 77-year-old billionaire has said that he is moving on from all his past transgressions, though many aren't as eager to do so. And what do you make to McMahon, and had your opinion of the man changed over the past year? Earlier this month, Sherry Lynn Guerrero, the daughter of Vickie and Eddie, accused her stepfather Chris Benson of sexually assaulting her during a cruise. Sherilyn's sister Shaul Guerrero and her cousin Chavo Guerrero have both said they believe her claims, and Sherry Lynn also claimed that when she approached her mother, Vickie defended her husband. After Vickie deleted a scathing response in which she said Sherry Lynn was ungrateful for the car she and Chris bought her, the wrestling manager resurfaced on social media this week with a new statement. On her Instagram, Vickie posted the following from her attorney Reese Campbell in this matter. Chris and Vickie Benson vehemently denies Sherilyn Guerrero's recent allegations of sexual assault and abandonment. Ms. Guerrero's unsubstantiated accusations have caused the Bensons to suffer public ridicule, scorn, derision, and humiliation. Chris and Vickie fully appreciate the seriousness of allegations of this nature and the need for public support of sexual assault survivors. However, they ask that you withhold final judgment on this matter until they have an opportunity to bring Ms. Guerrero and her claims into a court of law where judgment is based on facts and merit. For those wondering whether Chris Benson has ever been associated with WWE or wrestling at some point, the answer is no, as he instead owns Chris Craft Aerial Recon, which provides filming and photography services mostly to the real estate sector. Vickie is due to leave AEW later this year once her contract expires, but the company has already removed her from the website's roster, which many have seen as a response to these allegations. This is a troubling situation, and Vickie has said that she'll no longer consider Sherry Lynn her daughter after everything is said and done, and we'll keep following this case for further updates. And we're ending today with Kenny Omega, who to many fans is the greatest wrestler today to never compete on WWE TV, as the cleaner has made a name for himself away from Vince McMahon. While Omega was at one time under a developmental deal that didn't amount to much, but recently WWE did try and bring the former AEW champion into the fold. Speaking with House of Wrestling, Conan spoke about Omega, who he wanted for a recent AAA Mega Championship match, but couldn't due to Kenny's other commitments. He explained, "Originally we were going to bring in Omega, but he was still negotiating with AEW and he wasn't sure if he was going to stay or not. So we wouldn't commit, and he didn't want to come here until he signed. So that was out of the window, boom. And then after that, we asked for a couple of people from AEW and they weren't available. Then we got another guy who was hurt, and basically what we got was Swerve, which I don't have a problem with because he may not have the name value as other people, but he's an incredible wrestler. I worked with him in Lucha Underground, and Ricochet had actually recommended him to me. I think the match will be great because Rich Swann is great. You got one guy from AEW, one guy from Impact, and then you got Commander. I'm assuming, I never really asked him, but there were plans for him in the future, so I'm thinking he already signed. But, he wasn't sure if he was gonna stay, and WWE was talking to him, So we couldn't get him to commit." In interviews of his own, Omega recalled being led to believe that if you didn't make it to WWE, you were a failure, but he has been able to prove that this is far from being the case. As to whether Omega ever competes for WWE, only time will tell. And would you like to see the cleaner one day walk down the long ramp of a WrestleMania? Sound off in the comments.